let's start with the most bet game of the week at BetMGM. Chiefs, the most bet side of the weekend at BetMGM. The most bet over at BetMGM. And the Dolphins money line, the most popular money line dog. A ton of action on this game. Dolphins getting 1.5 against the Chiefs. Total at 51 now in Germany. Maybe Taylor Swift will be there before she starts the South American leg of her Eras tour. We're not sure, but we know the Chiefs don't lose when Tay-Tay is in the building. Joe, where do we start with this one?
It's too bad this can't be the Final Four, because wouldn't this be an awesome Final Four?
Yes.
Sorry, Eagles fans, but it would be, or Cowboys fans, or whoever thinks they have a chance over on the NFC side. But I'm as you say that, I'm wondering which one would I be happier with in the AFC Championship. I think that's tough to say. I'd be very thrilled with either matchup. But as far as Miami, Kansas City goes, we're waiting. We're waiting, Miami. We know your metrics are wonderful, and you put up some crazy amount of points. And you got a lot of style and profile with your team, and it's the Tyreek revenge game. A lot of people are going to be betting into that. First time going against his former squad. Mahomes bounced back. A lot of interesting storylines. One team travels very early in the week. One team ends up traveling later in the week. Is that going to play out in the field in the first half of this game? I'm frankly surprised, and I didn't even mean to say frankly because they're playing in Frankfurt. I'm surprised that this number's coming down. I didn't expect people to be betting on Miami. I thought this was going to be strictly a Kansas City spot where, like it always is, when you get Mahomes and company, less than a field goal, that's the popular play, and it trends up, and by the end of the week, that bet is no longer available. Well, it's going in the opposite direction this week. It's gone down. So people are betting Miami. All I hear, though, guys, is Kansas City. So that's why I'm surprised. Some respected people, too. Kansas City, but the market's going in the opposite direction. Trying not to get swayed by that at all, but I like Kansas City from the outset when this hit the board, and the market moving against me is not changing my opinion on this spot. I'm still going with the Kansas City Chiefs. The part that we don't want to forget is this defense is as good, if not better, than the offense this year for the KC side. They are as well-balanced a team as anyone. That has not always been the case. It's been the case for the first half of the season. This is one of my favorite bets of the week. Take the Chiefs and land the point and a half, whatever it is. I love it, and I'm not even considering Dolphins and teasers.
But let me ask you to dive a little bit more into what is the in my opinion anyway, I think it's the marquee game of the weekend. It just so happens to be while a lot of us will be sitting there eating breakfast. Dolphins, Chiefs. I know there is a reticence for people to believe in the Dolphins because, well, level of competition, right? They don't beat good teams. They haven't yet proven to us that they can do it. I don't know prop-wise what you have in this one, but just tell me your overall angle on this game, the total at 50.5 at BetMGM, and what props maybe we should have an eye out for. How's your game script go with this one?
And the issue in picking a side, I too, although it's probably square, I too lean the Dolphins. I don't think I'd even take the points. I think I'd just bet the money line. But my issue is that the only 3 times the Dolphins have been asked to show up, they got drowned. Justin Herbert and the Chargers reached over 30 points in the season opener. We all remember Josh Allen's MVP campaign game with 48 points against them. And then, of course, 31 points to Jalen Hurts a couple weeks ago. And now it's Patrick Mahomes coming off a flu game, which was arguably the worst game of his career. It's one I just throw out the window and don't even care to rewatch because I learned absolutely nothing about the Chiefs offense or Mahomes in that one. And that's my big concern here. Again, the Broncos kind of showed the blueprint, as a lot of people have been doing. The Chiefs now have allowed 4.4 yards per carry to opposing running backs since they got Chris Jones back in week 2. And the Broncos just gave the rock to Javonte Williams literally for 30 touches and said, get us there. And that's what took care of business. And he looked the best he ever looked all year long as he continues to recover from his injury too. But again, with Raheem Mostert, Savon Ahmed, Jeff Wilson, 3 weeks now healthier, removed from his injury, I think the Dolphins do have enough pieces to slow this one down and get it done. So I like the Dolphins side, but it's not something I personally put my money on because I think it's just, I still have so many questions. Even on the Dolphins defensive side of the ball, like all of that happened, yes, without Jalen Ramsey. And they did look much better with Ramsey last week. They held the Patriots 1 of 9 on third down. They had 6 quarterback hits. But again, that's the Patriots offense. So did I learn anything at all from that game? I don't know. So I think it's going to be fun, but personally, I don't really have a confidence side.
John, I thought that was a great point about the MVP market. That's going to be fascinating to see what's going on with that market by Monday. Stupid things happen in this league. So could the Raiders come out and win? Yeah, they can win. They can win. As a favorite, they're supposed to win this game. But I don't want to bet this game. The only way I would bet it is going Giants. I would bet on the better quarterback. Man, Saquon got a lot of run last week. I'm curious how he's going to bounce back. He got 88% of their rushes in the backfield. That's why he ended up being the rushing leader on the week. And we know what happened with the passing, even though it wasn't Daniel Jones. It was -9 on the passing yards. Listen, the Raiders are awful at everything. I just don't know what else to say. They're terrible at everything. And at least maybe Daniel Jones can do something. But overall, the same can be said about the Giants. Their offense is horrendous. Their defense, though, has been playing better. It's quite shocking to take a look at what they've done over the last month. EPA per play-wise, over the last month, they're second best in the NFL. Yes, the Giants defense. I know some of the teams they've played haven't been all that great, but man, that is surprising to take a look at. Giants, that's the only way I would go. It's not the worst teaser in the world. It's a low total, and then you get through the 3 through the 7. Giants plus 8.5 in a teaser, I guess, but I just don't know what we're going to see here. Crazy things happen in this league, guys. Jeff Saturday won his first game as a coach last year, and we know he's just terrible. And they made a massive upgrade in Indianapolis at head coach. So in the end, I'm probably going to stay away. I want to bet the Giants, but there's too many games that I do like that doesn't involve this trash.
It's trash.
Yes.
I actually have a prop here that I do like. Chris, you talked about the rejuvenated locker room. Devontae Adams playing basketball. There's cornhole in there. Everyone's fired up. Haven't seen Devontae this happy in a long, long time. He is going to eat over 70.5 receiving yards, -114. He's gone over that 3 times. One of them was when Aiden O'Connell was the quarterback against the Chargers. I think Devontae was pulled aside and he sees something that he knows he's going to get the ball from Aiden O'Connell. And this is a spot to get some good value on a guy that when we ranked receivers, we all know he is one of the top in the NFL, capable of going over this number on a regular basis.
For the Steelers, it works out, and they beat the Titans 20-16. And to your point, Joe, they've got the same bleeping record as the Buffalo Bills. I don't know how they've arrived at 5-3, but
nobody
that's
does.
where they're a game behind the Ravens for the division lead. And they've got Green Bay next week after a long 10 days to prep. And then they'll go to Ohio for a pair of games, Cleveland and Cincy, division games, anything can happen. So, it's not unrealistic to think we'll look up at Thanksgiving and the Steelers will have 7 wins and they'll be, they'll only need 3 down the stretch to get into the playoffs as a wild card.
No, there are wins on the schedule. That's what I was doing this morning. I'm like, well, Green Bay, that better be a win. Arizona's a win. New England's a win. Indy, the end of the year, after a half a season of Minshew, that's a win. You're at 9. Is Tomlin going to steal another? You better believe he's going to steal another. They're plus money this morning to make the playoffs at plus 132. If I'm betting either thing, I'm betting on the Steelers to make the playoffs. I would not bet on them to miss.
I feel like that Futurama meme. Take my money. Just please. Steelers plus money to make the playoffs right now. Take my money. 132. Yeah, absolutely. And Aaron, you nailed it with Deontay Johnson. This is going to be something to watch. This is a sideline to the Steelers the rest of the way through. How does George Pickens handle being number 2? Because there's people who were at the game last night. -1 yard on 2 catches. There's people at the game last night who were telling me he was blowing up on the sidelines at one point in the second half. and Deontay Johnson had to pull him aside and say, calm down, relax, you're going to get yours. But he's had this propensity he's starting to show this propensity for blow-ups and for saying things that he shouldn't say during the week, calling the Jaguars a hope defense, things like that. It's just, it's a little thing to keep an eye on. We're used to it here in Pittsburgh. We're used to diva bordering on maniacally insane wide receivers after 8 years of Antonio Brown.